Welcome to the Reesman Lectures, assorted mini lectures on important topics. Part 1. Free stuff. Why paying for things is overrated. Now, if you're a composer, you probably use notation software, but it can get pretty pricey pretty quickly. For example, Sibelius, one of the most popular ones, is $99 to $133. That's a lot of money, and I don't really want to spend it. Okay, well, how about let's check out Dorico? No, let's not. $580 is insane. Just no argument, it's insane. Well, we could always try out Finale. No, you can't. And that leaves us with MuseScore, which is actually completely free. Now, this is insane if you've ever used MuseScore, because you would know how great of a piece of software it really is. It honestly puts all these other ones to shame, and it's free. To demonstrate how it's so much better, I put the same MIDI file into these three softwares to see how the playback was. Now, Dorico, it isn't great. That was choppy and it didn't really sound good at all. But don't worry, it gets much worse. Sibelius is up next, and I'm sorry. I honestly don't even know how they got a notation software to play that. They had to go out their way to make it that bad, it seems. I don't even know. But that leaves us with MuseScore, which, don't worry, it's not bad at all. That was actually really good. And for free, it's downright amazing, especially compared to whatever it was these guys were doing. Now, to take a break from music for a second, here's some non-music examples of how free is just better. We got Fortnite versus Call of Duty. If you've played both of these games, you would know that Fortnite absolutely wrecks Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a terrible game in comparison to Fortnite. In what other game can you crank 90s as Rick Sanchez while pumping Peter Griffin in the head with Baby Groot on your back? None. Nothing. Next up, we have DaVinci Resolve versus Premiere Pro. Now, I don't care what you say. If you're using Premiere Pro, you need to learn something else. I'm not going to hold it against you. I understand that maybe you were just given some really bad advice, but Premiere Pro is not where it's at. Plus it costs money. Like, if it were free, I'd understand, but even so, DaVinci Resolve is so much better. So, yeah, just never use Premiere Pro. And lastly, we have theft versus working for money. Now, this one's a no-brainer. Why on earth would you want to sit down and work for your money when you could just rob somebody? This one's obvious. It was just thrown in there to prove a point more than anything. back to the notation software. Now, you've already heard playback from it, and MuseScore really blows the others out of the water. But here's some sheet music to look at, because, to be fair, it's the most important part of the notation software, not how it sounds, how it looks. And if these labels weren't here, you probably wouldn't be able to tell which is which. They're both pretty good. Except, hold on. They're actually both made with MuseScore. That's right. Both of these pretty decent looking scores were made completely for free using MuseScore. Now, I do actually have a third score to show you that wasn't made with MuseScore, and I actually have to give a content warning before I put it on the screen because children and viewers with sensitive eyes may be upset. So there was your warning. I'm really sorry you have to look at this. I don't know how Dorico does it. Similarly to how Sibelius really had to try to make it sound that bad. Dorico, they have to try to do this. Like, this isn't something you just accidentally do. Dorico had to try to make it look this bad, and that's insane. I need to remind you, this was $580 as well. So, just really start to think about where you're putting your money. The Reesman Lectures will resume after a brief commercial break. Part 2. Notation rules that suck. Why musicians are dumb. Now, this segment is about just basic notation rules that I really disagree with and honestly should be abolished. First up, we have quarter rests on offbeats. Now, this is a rule for pretty much every type of meter, but it's especially prevalent in compound meter, where a quarter rest might not take up the whole beat. Now, this first measure here is actually perfectly okay. This is well within the rules and is how it should be. If a quarter rest falls on the beat, it's okay to write it as a quarter rest. However, if the quarter rest falls off the beat, you're supposed to write it like this, as 2/8 rests, and I disagree. I would say I respectfully disagree, but no, I disrespectfully disagree. This is not okay, and if you're doing this, I don't know what to tell. Just don't tell me. Just don't tell me if you do this, okay? Because I don't want to know. What you do in your private life is none of my concern. But this is disgusting. So this third measure here is how it should be. You should be able to just have a quarter rest off the beat. This is correct. This is wrong. Don't do this. Now, for the second example, we have showing beat 3. Now, this isn't necessarily a rule, like a hard and fast rule, but many composers will like to show beat 3 in 4/4 time. And I'm actually not going to say that this first measure is wrong. It can be helpful at times to see beat 3. So if you want to write like this, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to hold it against you. However, I do have a problem with people saying that this second measure is wrong. That's not true. This second measure is perfectly fine. This is a perfectly fine way to notate that, and I will stand by that. So this is fine. If you want to do this, that's okay. But this is, in my opinion, better. Definitely not wrong. Thirdly, we have beaming over rests. Now, similarly to example 2, this isn't a rule necessarily, it's just something that some people choose to do. But it's wrong. Don't do this. This is absolutely terrible. Never beam over a rest. Now, it's not much of a problem in simple meters, but this is mainly for compound meter. Never do this. That's disgusting. Just do this. This is much better. This is wrong, okay? Just do this. Now, for our fourth example, we have dotted quarter rests in simple meters. This one honestly confuses me a bit as to why it's even a rule in the first place. Now, this first measure is just to show that a dotted quarter note is perfectly fine. We all know this. This is a perfectly fine measure. However, if you just delete this note and make it a rest, you're expected to write it like this. Why? Why would you do that? It's just a dotted quarter note worth of length. Why would you separate it into a rest and an eighth rest? I don't understand. Just do this. Now, if you want to argue that you should show every beat, even with notes, for example, you would take a quarter note and tie it to an eighth note always instead of ever having a dotted quarter note. If you wanted to argue that, I would disagree with you. However, I would see why you would do this. But if you're a normal person who is okay with dotting a quarter note, you should also be okay with dotting a quarter rest. And I do specify in simple meters because in compound meter, you're expected to do this, which is even more reason why it should be fine in simple meter. Part 3. The alto clef. Why it's the only correct choice. Now, first up, middle C is in the middle. This is one of the most common arguments I've heard for why alto clef is the best clef, but it is a good argument. Why is middle C down here? What's it doing down there? Why is middle C up there? No, middle C is in the middle, where it belongs. It's not called down C. It's not called up C. Actually, this one would be called high C. But this is middle C, where it belongs, in the middle. So, this is wrong, this is wrong. This is where it belongs. Now, the only problem with that is the range. Now, middle C being in the middle is great. That's wonderful. That's how it should be. But if you're consistently playing well above middle C, it'd be a pain to look at if middle C is in the middle. I understand that. However, that's no reason to stop using the alto clef. For this example, we're an octave above middle C. So it doesn't make sense really to be reading alto clef. Except it totally does, because you can just add a little 8 up there. And now you read it as alto clef up the octave. This is perfect. This is wonderful. You don't need treble clef. You only need alto. And very similarly down here in bass clef, you don't need this. You need this. This is what you need. Alto clef is the pinnacle of music. I will argue with anyone, anytime, any day about this. This is the most important thing you need to learn to become a true musician. Alto clef is the only correct choice. And this concludes the Reesman Lectures, assorted mini lectures on important topics. Thank you.